me for that if that happens.
Sure, no problem. Before I forget though, Jason, there's a woman by the name of Emma Woods. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. She she's one of the people that wants to join Kenzie Friends Near Me.
Okay.
And I said to her, as I do to people when they haven't filled in all the form
Yeah.
properly, you need to fill in the form. She says, I can't remember where, I can't remember how to do that now. I can't remember where it is.
Right.
And I don't know
That's fine.
how
I can find. I can
how
find it if you
they
want.
how they yeah, if you could find it and you send it to me or whatever, and I can, because this woman wants to know. She's obviously taken the course.
Yeah.
And she wants to become a Mackenzie friend.
Cool. No
And
worries.
I said I'd speak to you later.
Cool. That's cool. That's good. So what's new in the world of like family court and social work for you like these days?
Another child died. A child died in 2023.
Really?
Her name was I'm trying. Sarah Sharif. Yeah. Actually, my view is, I mean, it was horrible reading. It was not nice reading what the parents did to her, the father did to her, father and stepmom. It was ugly, horrible. This poor kid. But my view is that you always, it's quite right that we're trying to stop children being killed and trying to improve our practice. But my view is we're not AI. We're not AI, and it's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
There are similar things about why it happens, but basically we're people are stretched too far. It's not like they've got one case. If they've got one case, fine. They could probably manage it, even though there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
When you've got 20 or, it's just not going to happen.
No, the time is time. You only got enough minutes, only certain amount of minutes in a day, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah. It's not happening, but it's traumatic, It's traumatic.
Especially
it's a child's life.
Especially when you care. It's not like it's not like people go into this type of work because they're not empathetic or they don't have feelings. They go into this type of work because you've got feelings. You want to help. You want to make a difference. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can't get to everyone. That's the thing is, I've had to be like, you can't get to everyone. You can't get to everyone. And the mistake, everyone's human. You are human. We are human. That's it. Things happen. Shit happens. I know it's a kid, and I'm not being disregarding or disrespectful of that. But like, whoever made that mistake, it's not right. But the media will jump onto that mistake. But no one's jumping onto the amount of good things that happen. How many success stories people have.
No, they don't. But that's the reality. That's the reality. They don't. I mean, really, there's so many things in life. You sit there, I sit and I think, I listen to people and I think, there's nothing in your head. You're vacant. Honest to God, I listen to people and I really think, sometimes I get into arguments with them and other times I think, I haven't got time. You're not worth my time.
Yeah.
I just listen to people and I just can't. When you really listen to people, the things they say, I think to myself, there really isn't that much going on there that's worth talking about. Because, as I say, I keep saying, people don't actually think, people just follow. People, they're consumed by their emotions, which is not, don't get me wrong, I'm an emotional person myself. I think you are.
Yep.
But you've got to have that capacity to
Control
stop and think, okay, fine, I feel this way, I'm pissed off or I'm this, but what is this? Like, there's I'm going to put it this way, there's angles in life. There's angles, and we see one angle. We don't want to see the other angles. We don't want to see, there's more than one angle.
Yeah.
And people they just don't want to see that.
They don't. This is the thing. This is what I experienced that a lot. I mean, people are bent on this is how it is. This is always going to be that way. And I've got clients who come to me, the first thing they say to me is they put it all on her. It's always her fault. Yeah, it's always blah, blah. And the first thing I say back to them is like, what did you do wrong? Because it doesn't just get to this point. It doesn't just get here. Yeah. So, but some people are self-aware enough to be able to understand that, and they look at themselves and think and make a difference and talk about it. Others don't, and it's like, but then that's the thing. It's we can't. I have to come to terms with, accept the fact that I'm not the same person. Not everyone has the capacity to evolve and think psychologically the way you think or the way I think. And that's a bit difficult to understand for me sometimes, because I mean, look, even if they take family court, yeah, I think most of the time it's men who are the ones who are trying to move forward. Yeah, there's women that try and move forward as well, but from my own personal experience, men try and put the line in the sand and say let's resolve things, yeah, and let's try and move forward and get beyond the argument. They don't want to argue. They want to have a relationship with their kids, basically, yeah. Now, in some cases, it's not safe. It's not safe for that to happen. But when it is safe for that to happen, it's the women who are stuck on a point of issue that they can't get past. And don't get me wrong, they're not going to be best mates. They're not going to be best buddies. But they're not able to get beyond the trauma that they've triggered. The bloke's triggered. Now, my own situation personally with my own ex-wife, she hasn't spoken to me unless it's in a court setting for 15 years. Do you know what I mean? Unless it's, it's like she still thinks she's still the same person she was 15 years ago. And I know that because she's still making the same mistakes that she was making 15 years ago, doing the same stuff, same behaviors and that sort of stuff. I've looked at myself and tried to be a better person and seen, tried things, well, I've done this wrong, what can I do better, blah, blah, blah. So I've evolved. I'm not the same person as I was. But because my ex doesn't have the capacity to do that, and she hasn't done that herself, she doesn't think I can do that. Does that make sense? Because it's not in her thought realm. Yeah. And I think that's something difficult for everyone to accept, because everyone seems to think that everyone is they're normal, they're right, but everyone has to live their way or be their way. But it's not. Everyone has their own way of doing everything. And I don't think there should be any. I think there shouldn't be any set way of doing things. Just doing things with respect. That's when we're taught from a young age, I think, to how to react when we go through a breakup. Why do we behave the way we behave when we break up? Why can't people let go of it? Why do people have when we're not just in a relationship where they are in a close intimate relationship, but also in a platonic relationship, in relationships where you have disagreements with your work colleagues or your old school friends or whatever? Why do we have to end up hating each other? And I think that for me does my head in a little bit, because we shouldn't be burning bridges. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to hate. And I think religion and politics is something that people get really obviously hell bent on. But I don't understand why. Nothing is that important to me.
No, but I think the people who do that type of thing, for some reason, that's how they've been brought up. That is how they deal with conflict. And that's become normal to them. And they can't see that there are other angles, there are other sides, there are other ways of dealing with it, and they don't want to see it. The other thing is they don't want to see it. They believe that their way is the way, and because of that, they'll shout from the rooftops that they're right and everyone else or the other person is wrong. And any time, I think there's I'm trying to remember what it's called. I can't remember. I won't remember what it's called. But whenever people don't have that capacity they just think they're right, and they think that if you are arguing against them, that you hate them, and they have a right then to hate you. You're either with me or against me. That they're kind of all or nothing. And what that means is that they don't have that capacity to stop and think about what they're actually saying and doing. And anyone who challenges them, they hate them.
I've seen that type of person. We've seen that type of person. Yeah. But we all know this. I mean, I think that is to do with their upbringing. Is how they've been brought up. It's about how you're a product of your environment, aren't you? That's the thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, we're all a product of our environment, but some people have the capacity and the will to change that. And that's the thing. People who want to change will find a way of
changing. Yeah, of course.
A lot of people won't change because they don't want to change.
Don't feel they have to.
They're not interested in changing. They're not even interested.
A lot of these. Sorry, go on. Say that again.
No, I was just saying that they're not interested even in changing. They're not interested in changing for the better for their child.
No.
They think they're right, and that's it. They think they're right, and I'm going to give you an example. This is something that's I've seen this happen. Two people are witness the same event.
Yeah.
But they come to completely different conclusions about what's gone on.
Yep.
And that sounds like it's nonsense, that it can't happen, but it's so easy to happen when you think about it.
Right.
And as a result of that, some people will never, let's say you and I had something happened, and you thought one way, I thought another way.
Yeah.
Well, some people will never talk to you again because of that.
Yeah.
Because they think you are lying. And it's not necessarily that you are lying. You've seen an angle. They've seen an angle. They see certain things in a certain way, given their experiences, given their emotions, given their what they think is right or whatever, their values.
Yep.
You see things in another way, given who you are,
and your value,
given what's gone on.
Yep.
And that kind of potion together, that concoction together, means that people sometimes get to the position where they call you a liar, and you might think lying, and people don't talk again. People hate each other, and as far as they're concerned, you're the worst thing ever. Yep. And all it is that you've come at things from slightly different angles, or maybe from very different angles.
Yeah,
that's all it is. But that is going to be enough for you to hate the mother, or for the father to hate the mother, for the mother to hate the father, and the child is stuck slap and in the middle of it for the rest of their days.
Well, yeah, this is it. And that's never
something that could be worked out, but it isn't, because people don't want to work it out because they want to be. And that's how that, I don't know, that for me, that just sums up how, when I said at the beginning of this, people aren't thinking, because actually, who is that helping? If anyone thinks about who does that help? Who's that benefiting? Is anyone coming away as a winner from that?
Well, no.
Is any win-win scenario there?
Well, from a breakup, a win-win scenario?
No, well, I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, you can have a win-win scenario, even for a breakup. Even from a breakup. It depends how people...
I don't know if that's my internet or yours.
It depends on two people of views. What do you say?
I don't know if that's my internet or yours, but you froze a little bit then.
Oh, sorry. All right. What I'm saying is, two people have seen the same event but come away with different views.
Yep.
And as a result, they don't like each other, or they don't trust each other, whatever. And no one takes the time to think, okay, well, look, is it that important, really? The reality is that we don't like, we hate each other, and that impacts on their child for the rest of that child's life.
Of course, yeah. But then,
and what I'm saying is that there's no one wins for that. In fact, everyone wins for that.
But this is my argument, though, mate.
People don't think about that.
This is the thing, though. I was saying this to someone the other day. When you go through criminal court, you have probation, and you have people who, or you have rehabilitation. You have some support. You have some support to rebuild your life, or whatever. In family court, you've got nothing. They tear apart your family. The blokes are suffering from PTSD because they've just been, or whoever's lost, whoever it is, man or woman, mum or dad, who's lost everything, they have to rebuild their lives again. While the children have got suffering from PTSD because their world's just just been broken up as well. And you've got now, people saying, there's always going to be people who agree with the mum, and there'll always be people who agree with the dad because of how that picture has been sent to or given to either one of those. So if I walk down Elm High Street, there'll be people who see me who know Lindsay, who will have a perception of me based on what Lindsay has told them about her reality of the given situation, but they don't know they don't know the reality of the situation. But they will say that I'm a bad person, or I'm made to be the bad person. But immediately, if you look at any relationship, both people are bad, because if it gets to that point, you're in family court because it's a breakdown of communication, and you both lost control of your emotions because you're not regulated. You're not doing what's right for your kid anyway because you're in that situation anyway. And reality is not everyone goes into family court. There are families that do manage to separate without having to go through family court because our world is consumed by the negativity of it. It seems like everyone would goes through family court, but you'd know your type of work. You would see people like who families have not had a breakdown, or even if they have had a breakdown, they end up doing it amicably without need of social services or without need of like family courts and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You hope that people are mature enough and care enough for their own child, even if they don't care for themselves, they care enough for their own child to, find a way. They don't have to love the other person,
of course you don't,
father
exactly.
or the mother.
No.
They just have to figure out that actually you have to behave in a reasonable way if you're not going to screw up your child.
Yeah,
that's it.
We make it sound so easy. Make it sound so easy.
I do make it sound easy, and I know that it isn't easy. The reality is, if you focus on the right thing, and the right thing is your child. It's your bloody child. It's not how you're feeling. It's not how he's feeling or how she's feeling. It's your child.
Okay, so
and that's what people don't get it.
Hello, Daisy. Just so you know, when I'm looking down here, so you can see she's making a funny noise. If you can hear some funny noises, it's her basically. But but what do you say? What do you say to this though? Right, I had a judge say this week in a hearing. It's not the child. It's not your right. It's not your right to have a relationship with the child. It's the child's right to have a relationship with you. Don't expect a relationship with the child. You agree with that? Or what are your thoughts on that statement?
Right. You're saying that to a parent, yeah?
Yeah.
I do fundamentally agree with it because, and I'll tell you why I fundamentally agree with it. It's not that you don't. It's not that you have a right to. See, I don't see myself as having a right to have a relationship with my child. No. I see myself as having a responsibility towards my child, and because of that, I will do whatever I can to make sure I have a good relationship. But the thing where I understand where the judge is coming from is that if we look at it as a parent,
right,
as opposed to looking at it from a child's point of view, we'll see it in a different angle. If we look at it as a child has a right to. The child didn't ask to come into this world. We brought the child into the world. Yeah. Children don't ask to be brought in. We, as parents, decide to do what we do and bring children in. And when a child comes in, they have a right to be taken care of, respected, and valued properly.
Of course.
We as adults, we as adults have what we call. I mean, this is part of the Children Act years ago, really, for us to see it not just as our children are as possessions, and therefore we have a right in relation to them.
Yeah,
we have a responsibility in relation to our children.
That's a different way of,
and that's and children have a right to. We have a responsibility and a duty towards our children, and the children have a right to be cared for properly and given the attention, affection, respect, understanding, sensitivity, empathy that they need in order to grow up to be well appropriate, be independent, healthy adults.
Okay, so I've got a comment here. I disagree with Michael. Both the parent and the child have the right to the relationship, but the law disregards that fact. What do you say about that?
Look, parents are gonna have that view, right?
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Love your child. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, try and see it from the child's point of view first.
Yeah.
Right? If you see it from the child's point of view, you will look. How many children grow up and parents don't let them know who their father is, or they don't let them know, they let them know something terrible about their mother or something like that.
Yep.
And it's not because the child, all the child wants is to have a normal, loving family.
Yep.
Even if the parents are split up, they just want parents to care for them. We get so kind of hung up on certain things. It's my child. It's not. You gave birth to your child, but you have a responsibility towards your child. First and foremost.
So I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying in terms of responsibility. I think that does do something with it a lot. Just changing that one word, I think that's quite good. But it applies here saying having the right to a relationship with your child does not take away the responsibility. That's a completely separate thing. What Michael is describing is not a child's point of view. It's a relation. It's a rationalization for what the system forces on the people.
Well, look. I'm not going to make that person think the way. All I'm saying is this: when you go to court, right? If you want to, people can argue what they like, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get the best chance of getting what you want at court for your child, whether you want to see it's for you or for your child, you need to recognize that the judge is going to look at it in the way of looking at what's in the best interest of this child. Now, your idea as a parent may or may not reflect that.
Yes.
Because as parents,
biased,
we can look at things. We can look at things in a way which is not just necessarily the child's needs; it's our needs.
Yes,
right?
I agree. Yep.
And I think what we have to do, if we're able to separate that out, if you're totally able to separate that out, I think you get my point. Okay. The problem is we're not often able to totally separate. Not often, no. Out.
But then the institution does seem to recognise it is the mother's God-given right to that child. That's what it seems to be.
The institution, I think that's wrong.
Okay.
I don't think that's right. It's not. You see. Okay, and I think that's part of the way we look at things in this society. That women are best carers. Now, women may often be best carers, but it's not necessarily always the case. It's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah.
Because sometimes women aren't best carers. Sometimes men are better carers.
Yeah.
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 So the way the system works sometimes is that there's an implicit assumption sometimes, and that there's been an implicit assumption that the woman is the carer, and that's what we do in this society.
Yeah.
And, it's been that way for years.
Yeah.
And women have used that. Some women. I'll be careful here. I'm saying some women have used that to abuse fathers.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
And that's their power base. Their power base is that I'm the mother, I've got the child, and they do what they want. And you will jump hurdles before you see your child, and all that is rubbish.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not the way it should be at all. If they look at it the right way, that woman, that mother, should recognise that child is not just hers in that it's her in that she's her daughter or her son.
Yeah.
It is. They've got a responsibility for her, and the father's got a responsibility for her as well. And that child needs both parents. that child.
Yes, of course.
Let's put it that way.
Yes, yep.
They need that parent. Now, as a parent, you don't necessarily need your child, or you shouldn't need your child, but you should want to care for that child. Because if fundamentally, what are we doing as parents? Our role as parents,
we're educating, aren't we? We're educating our kids.
Our role as parents is to bring our children up to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
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 That's what it should be.
Yeah.
If we're not doing that, if we're bringing up our children to need us, then we're going down the wrong road.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not disputing that. Basically, I think this guy is actually quite good. I think he's Brave Fathers. So I'm not disputing that, and that's the mentality of the mindset of the court system. That doesn't make it right, and it's not the best interest of the child. Again, Michael is rationalizing the system. So based on that comment, do you not think like the institutions run on like logics so deep and often like? So do you not think like they're often invisible like belief systems that shape what you think and how you live your life? You've obviously been a social worker. How long have you been a social worker for? And do you think that that's shaped how you perceive things and look at life at all? Or
yeah. I mean, I couldn't pretend. I wouldn't sit here, Jason, and say it doesn't. It does shape how because you have to look at things differently. And I hope that it shaped my life in a way that I look at my children or look at other people's children in a way that actually puts them and their needs first.
Yeah.
Okay. But people will have different views about that. But
that's cool. I mean, I think I was speaking to a couple of people this week, and I just think I can see a shift in how people are getting treated in court, how they're getting treated in every aspect of everything, and I can feel it. I can feel it in the courtrooms, and I can feel it when we're. I can just feel the difference, and it's like maybe I'm just more conscious of it, or maybe I'm not feeling it. Maybe it's more in my head.
What
or whatever.
Difference?
But
just
about how like men are worried. Men are really worried about what the future holds. For, going through family court with allegations that are that could be like like exaggerated or whatnot or fabricated. Men are really worried about that. But then people who are actually in the thick of it, getting fobbed off. There's courts that are just going against their own court orders. There's courts that are not, they're not doing what they should be doing lawfully. And it's like that. I feel like I'm in a different world. I feel like I'm in a different world. I feel like I'm being gaslit. I feel like, and I'm not even the person. I'm not even the parent who is going through it all. There's parents who are trying to live it, and it's like life's difficult enough as it is already. And I just feel like sometimes the system is just not making it any easier by not just doing the basics. I mean, maybe you could answer this question, but maybe hypothetical situation, right? If I had if I was in court for like, I don't know, 20 years, so that doesn't look like anyone's case or anything like that. I'm in court for like 20 years, and I've been the same CAFCAS officer for all that time. But then suddenly they're trying to close it all off, and I'm like, and you're like, they want to give you, rather than give you, you say, well, can I get my child doesn't want to see me, and the child is like, there's no reason for that. There's no safeguarding concerns against me, and my child doesn't want to spend any time with me. The child is only, I don't know, 8 years old or whatever. I mean, I've been trying to get in his life for all this time. But then instead of getting a social worker, they want to, CAFCAS want to wash their hands off it, and I want I want a psychologist, but they want to get an independent social worker. So where's the logic there? Where's the logic there? What's an independent social worker going to get that a CAFCAS officer wouldn't get, that a psychologist would get? So I think a psychologist is probably more needed in that situation, but then everyone else disagrees with me. Is that because I'm a litigating person representing myself, or is that because? Well, I mean, what's your viewpoint on that?
I think there are different things going on. I think that my view is that a lot of what goes on sometimes in the family court is particularly for private law, is finance.
Yeah. Finance.
It's money. It's money.
Yeah.
You know, as I said to you before, Jason, there's a difference between the way cases are looked at in public law from the way they're looked at in private law.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in public law, they're looked at much more thoroughly. Doesn't mean they can't make a mistake.
No, of course.
But they're looked at much more thoroughly than they are in private law. In private law, they're not really looked at that. I mean, in my view, from my experience, in private law, they'll do what they want and send you on your way.
Yep.
And you know, whether it's fair or not, it's done. You know, and you don't have much comeback with it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Again, when you look at you talk about the difference between an independent social worker and you look at a psychologist. A psychologist is more expensive.
But why should cost be a factor when I'm not seeing my child?
Look, I'm not going to argue that.
I know, but you're saying I know, but I'm just saying you're giving me that as an answer, and I know it's an answer because that's exactly what they said. That's exactly one of the things
because I think that is the way. As I said to you, finance. We listen. We live in a country, or we live in a world where finance rules bloody everything. It's not necessarily what's right.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what's best.
Yeah.
It's what is, you know, expedient. It's what is, you know, economical. It's financial.
But this is what does my head in. Though. Like the society that we're in, I'm gobsmacked. I mean, this guy's. I've noted a comment here saying family courts seem to be their own their own rules and ideas inside a bubble. It's a very toxic, different world in that courtroom. They act with no accountability, and that's so true. I just think that there's no.
I don't disagree with him. It's a different world anyhow. Whenever you go to court, it's a different world. It's an alien world. It's not your world that you're inhabiting. Normally. No. When you go into court, it's a different world. And when you go into family court and you're in a private law situation, you know, you're in an environment where you are told what to do. You're told what's going to happen. You're asking for certain things.
Part of the you're supposed to be asking, but I don't think that's the right way of playing the game. But I don't think that's why. I don't think we go in there with we're asking, but we're saying this is the law. This is what you should be doing. This is what backs it up. But then they contradict themselves. They're not playing by the same rules. They move the goalposts, and that's it baffles me because it's like I'm not stupid. People aren't stupid, but they treat us like we're just stupid. It's because parents aren't stupid. Parents aren't stupid, and I'm not. Parents aren't stupid. Generally, parents, they know what's best for their kids. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I would say 90% of parents know what's best for their kids and generally do what's right for their kids. Now, you work in an environment that's obviously what you do. So, would you say that's sort of true? Would them stats be sort of roughly right? 90% of parents.
You see, it's different because of number one, I work mostly with. I don't work so much with people in private law.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that. As a general, with your knowledge.
As a generalisation, and this will be a very general generalisation because I am not. The people I'm working with are people who 9 times out of 10 have come to the attention of the authorities for doing something. Sometimes, not always, but generally they've come to the attention because there's concerns about their care of their child. There's concerns about whether they are actually able to meet their child's needs. So those are the people I'm working. And those people, do they love their children? Of course they do. Are they always best placed to see what's best for them? That's debatable because when you get to court, even if by the time you've got to court, you've gone through a process, and you know that process might be child protection, it might be public law outline, whatever, you know. And you've got to a point where you don't necessarily trust people anyhow.
No,
You don't
of course,
trust
no, of
what
course, yeah, because you've been through the mire with it all.
You've been through the thing, and you know, and so actually you being able to say what's necessarily best for your children. Of course, all parents will say that they know what's best for their children. Sometimes you do, sometimes you just don't because you're not there.
But okay, so I would argue, right, that in a lot of cases there are people who are left with, and I'm taking gender out of it, but there are people who are left with the main carers for the children, and they are left traumatized. They are traumatized. They're traumatized from something from their childhood that something from their ex-partners triggered them. But we're leaving children with parents that are traumatized, bringing up children that are then going to be traumatized. It doesn't make sense. In my experience, people, including myself, may have. I was saying something earlier about me not eating my ex-wife's dinner, and that's abusive. That's abuse, and that would have made her feel awful. Could have been a dig on her culture and that sort of stuff because I wasn't eating her taking the mick out of her food and that sort of stuff. Yeah, and that's abusive. That's abuse. So it's like I'm able to look at myself and say, yeah, that I did that, and that was wrong, and move through that and grow from it and evolve from that. Yeah, but people aren't able to do that, so they're stuck in that same place, going around that same loop, and that's not healthy. So, but
No,
these people are bringing up parents and then getting left with the kids, in my view.
Look. I'm going to be the last person to say that, especially in private law.
Yeah,
I've seen some things and I didn't like them at all.
sure.
I didn't think they were right, and I thought they were rubbish.
Yeah.
But that's the system. Not that I'm not sitting here saying that's right.
So
right?
When you're in that situation, if you're a professional in that situation where you see there's some wrongdoing going on, what do you do then? Do you just have to keep stum because it's your job? It's your job.
I'm going to tell you right. I've been a social worker at a time where I worked with a particular parent. This parent was extremely clever.
Yeah.
And they knew exactly what to say to the right people at the right time. In fact, everyone they spoke to, if they needed you, they'd say the right thing. They knew they'd say the right thing. And at that time, this happened, I went to court. I was a social worker at the time, but I'd also already been a children's guardian, and I'd already been an independent social worker. In other words, I was very experienced, but I'd gone back into being a social worker.
Okay.
And I knew, because of the work that I'd done and what I'd seen with this mother, this parent, that they weren't able to care for this child.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Could I prove that in court? No, because I had a children's guardian and I had an independent social worker who were against me, and the court go with those experts. So they didn't listen to me.
No.
Yeah,
that's what they do. They always go with the experts. The experts carry more weight. Experts carry more weight than anything, and they shouldn't because I think they're corrupt. They will go with generally they will go with what the first Kafka report will say. Everyone sticks together as a well cohesive unit team to say all the right stuff, to do the right stuff, to make sure no one falls out of place.
I've been in situations where I've been supporting someone who's been really abused time and time again by a parent who's dragged them back to court time and time again.
Yeah.
And I've seen situations where if I was a professional in dealing with that, I'd have known exactly what to do.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a professional in that. That's it. It was a personal thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
So does that not count for anything? If you're going through it personally, right? If you're going through it personally, and you've still got that qualification, you're still a professional.
Yeah, but you're not. The judge isn't going to see you. Even the judge. All right. The judge saw me as, because at the time this other thing happened. This other thing I'm talking about, which was more personal to me. It wasn't personal exactly to me, but the person that was was close to me. The judge recognised me as a children's guardian at the time, but then also said, "But you are." But this is what the judge said. But it's what do they say? Well, it's kind of like I can't remember the word. It was like I'm biased in the sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that person was close to me.
Yeah.
So although they listened to what I had to say,
Yeah.
and I think that they believed it, they still didn't do what I thought they needed to do. And I just had to accept it. I had to accept it. And look, the thing is, you can see how it messes up children. You can see how it messes up children.
Of course you can. Yeah,
I've seen how it can mess up children.
Yeah.
And I can't, and look, there aren't going to be. There's a war going on between men and women, fathers and mothers.
Do you think?
And you're not going to. I don't see how you're going to create a situation where that's not happening. All I can think about is that you can try to improve the system.
Yeah.
Just like we're talking about children dying, you can improve the system as much as you can.
Yeah.
But that war is still gonna be raging in different ways.
Yeah. Who started the war?
I don't know who started the war. I know it's going to keep going. This is
it. But I think, so do you think then? Okay, so speaking from your own personal situation, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But speaking from your own personal situation, if you knew how to handle the situation as a professional in your situation, and then the professionals didn't make those recommendations, how does that leave you feeling when?
Well, yeah, it boils. Listen, that's what I'm saying to you. It boils.
So you say it does boil down the gender. It does boil down the gender because there's a war. So if there was a social worker, because I've noticed something, right? Right? Even myself personally, when I had a male CAFCAS officer, right, it was fine. Everything was cool. He could see what I was saying. He understood what I was saying. My viewpoint. Everything was cool, right? But then females don't get it. They just don't understand it because they get the women's perspective because they're women, because they're women. So that's naturally what's going to happen, yeah. Because there's things that we naturally get and that don't get. But that's going to happen then. But so you can't take away the impartiality because subconsciously we are subconsciously biased without realizing because we're gender. Because we know what it'd be like. We know what men have going through. So you're going to be seeing it from his perspective.
Well, you've got to. I mean.
So one way of getting around this would be getting more men to be social workers. Because we moan about like men. We moan about the fact that men, it's all. But then get in and be a social worker. Then that's what it needs. We just need more men, more males being social workers. Because then it'll equal it all out. The equilibrium will all be there.
My view is that it would be good to have more men.
Yeah,
but I don't think. I think that you see, whoever you are, man or woman, it's part of your professionalism. Right, we use that word professionalism.
Yeah,
should be to be able to, as best as possible, because it's not just you see. Again, you're not just thinking that okay, I'm a man and therefore I want to help other men.
No, of course you're not.
I'm thinking, I'm a man. I appreciate what other men are going through.
Yeah, yeah.
What is best for this girl or this boy?
Yeah.
I have to come out of myself and think, if I was a 10-year-old kid or whatever, and blah blah blah. This was a scenario. What does this child need?
Yeah.
And yes, of course, he needs a mum and he needs his dad.
Yeah.
They need both. Given the scenario, and sometimes these are complex situations. Not
of course, of course, yeah. I'm with that. Yeah.
You have to figure out what's best for the child. What I'm saying is, I don't think I see it as okay just because I'm a man. Blah blah blah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying subconsciously, a deep-rooted level, we're not going to be able to help but be that way, because psychologically, that's what we are. We seem to. My personal experience, even when I'm supported in an advocate capacity, I see it when you've got male social workers who are supporting, who are doing it, and my observations is they're not doing it intentionally. They're being independent still. They're being independent and impartial still, but they're still doing it. They're still seeing things from a broader perspective than what a female would. Not because the female is doing it intentionally, but because they don't know how to
subconsciously.
Yeah. And I think that, and I think that's the problem. And I think I think that's the problem with where we are. Like, do you feel that AI would take your job one day? And would it be necessarily a bad thing?
To be honest, I think AI will take certain jobs, but I don't think.
Because I've got a vision.
I don't think you see. There's benefits to AI, and there's shortcomings to AI.
Yeah.
I don't know. You see, you have to have that capacity to. When you look at your child, right? When you look at a child, you look at so many factors, so many things. I don't know whether I know AI could probably be fairer in a lot of ways, because they're not. It's not
going to be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not a personal thing. They're not emotionally impacted. But having said that, there's always going to be a room for that emotional, emotionally how we feel. That's what differentiates us from AI. We feel. So it's a question of do we?
This is the difference. This is.
Do we fit? Is our feeling such that we are able to do what's in the best interest of the child, or is our feeling such that it takes over and we miss, or we lose?
This is what I think. This is what I think happens in a lot of cases. I literally just do think that the system doesn't want. I don't think it's even designed or ready for a male victim of domestic abuse, or male parenting, single male parenting. Nothing's set up for it. So you look at.
Let me be devil's advocate here.
Go on, yeah, please do. Go on.
Why do you think there aren't enough? Well, why do you think there aren't more men social workers then?
Well, why do I think there's not more men social workers?
Yeah, why do you
think? Because of the stereotype. Because the stereotype, is the stereotypical thing of the fact that it's not the done job. It's not something you go out and want to do. So it's men fear what other people would say.
Sure, and certainly, I'm sure there's more than a grain of truth to that.
Yeah.
But I think that as men, we don't. I don't know, for whatever reason. Maybe as men, we're providers. We still see ourselves as providers.
Yeah.
And social work isn't probably a job that people think of themselves as being providers. Maybe social work is a job. Maybe I don't think this is what I really feel. Right? I don't think a lot of people could do that job. It's not a job.
Well, this is true. Yeah.
It's not a kind of. It's not a. People give a lot of mouth about it because they're hurt about it, because it hurts them, and I understand that.
This is a good point here, though.
Vast majority of people could not do a social work role. A lot of people say, but actually they couldn't do the role, and they wouldn't put themselves out to do that role because it takes a lot more than people ever realize.
Yeah, so basically, I've got here someone saying, Paul saying, society is prejudiced against males as nurturers. We are not just providers. So, but as a man, we fail to be that sort of. We don't have that feminine. Not everyone has that feminine thing about them. Does that make sense? And it's very feminine type role.
Men, look. Women have male bits about them. Men have feminine bits about them. We just don't. Maybe we don't. We're not used to showing that. We're not used to exploring that parts of us. Men have that capacity. We just don't. It's like we don't kind of.
We've got John Paul here. John Paul's coming. I can see him now. How you doing, John Paul?
I'm always good, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in.
Jason. Thank you.
What do you have to add? What do you have to contribute? You doesn't contribute. What do you have to say?
Yeah. So the issue is, I just want to say to what I commented to Michael earlier, which is, like I'll just put it bluntly. Okay. The system is what it is. A lot of people complain that it's broken. I don't think it's broken. I think it's just what it is. As you've commented before, people expect, for example, you have a solicitor, right? So we've all seen a movie like A Time to Kill and so forth. So you think your solicitor goes home at night, smokes a cigarette, pours himself some whiskey, takes all your paperwork, has all these books, and he's like, how do I solve this case? How do I win, so that this kid see their father or their mother? But in reality, you put me on the show, you have checked me first, but I'm always very blunt. In reality, what the solicitor is doing is he's ordering his cocaine, he's ordering his whatever he's doing, having a party for £180 per hour or £200 per hour. It's gonna show up an hour before your hearing, be like, oh yeah, looks like yeah. Go and pretend, do a show in front of the judge. You've paid £4,000 for the day, and he's going home. The Kafka's officer, now I have to be careful, but I will not be, because I'm tired. Lots of fathers are tired. The Kafka's officer, look, I don't even think Kafka's is the problem. Okay? I honestly don't think Kafka's is the problem. The Kafka's officer comes to you, is like, yeah, you know what, this woman is abusive to the children, and so on and so forth. But if I put it in this report, my manager is gonna fire me, period. Like, let's just be honest. So she or he has to say, well, we have to, it's not safe for contact. But if magically the mother says, you know what, and I've seen this with my own eyes, and I'm sure you've seen it in your work, and after my experience, I've also worked with fathers, and we see it. Magically, the mother changes her mind. All of a sudden, it becomes safe. Like magic.
Yep.
Now, with regards to Michael's comment that you have a responsibility, of course we have a responsibility. We are parents. We know this. That's why we are fighting for our kids. It has nothing to do with the fact that we have the right to our children. These are our children. The state does not have the right. They have the power to. No, let me finish. The state has the power to do it because they have essentially a monopoly on the violence. They have the power to take away our children from us, but it's not a right for the state to do it. It's just something they do.
Yeah.
The child has the right to see the parent, correct? And the parent has the right to see the child. It's a family. We are human beings. That's how we function. When the relationship breaks down, it doesn't mean that automatically, the state can come in and say, you should only see your child once a week. Again, they have the power to do it, but it's wrong. And culturally, we accept it because what are you going to do? Because I can speak, but somebody else will say this and get fired from their job. I'm not going to go fired from anywhere, so I can say it. Yeah. But our question is, so just to finish up, the issue is that people have been conditioned to think that the state knows better for you than you know for yourself, that the state knows better for your children than you know for yourself. And if you dare speak against it, or even be logical in court, you'll be punished.
I'll give him a bit of a clap for this. This is good.
And I'll say one last thing. It's not even the laws. The laws are good. We have. I don't agree with the law that because this is another lie. Parents in the UK don't know they don't have the right to see their children. And I've seen barristers lie. I've seen Mackenzie friends lie. I've seen judges. Everybody will lie. But when you get into the court, That's the only time in the privacy where nobody can see. They tell you you don't have the right. But if this conversation was held on TV, oh no, parents do have the right. Nobody has the right. The new laws they are changing is not taking away any rights, really, because the right does not exist. And I've seen the courts. I've seen females be abusive in courts, shout, scream,
All
attack.
sorts of stuff. Yeah.
I've seen people pretend literally like this, like it's not happening. Like they can't see it. Like they have some kind of blindness.
I've seen that as well.
Women
the judge CUNTs, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So the truth is, it's not the laws. As much as I don't agree with the laws, if they are applied justly, it will work, right? Because if the mother is abusive, they'll recognize it. If the father is abusive, they'll recognize it. So it would be fair. If the Kafkas was able to report honestly, because again, they are not allowed. I don't believe they are allowed to report honestly. And if you're honest, Michael, I'm sure you know there are certain things you can't admit because you might lose your job. So that's what I'm saying. Kafkas is not a problem. But let me, yeah. So that's a bit of my rant here.
Let me say, I'm not a Kafkas officer, so I can't. But I have seen Kafkas officers. I have seen, and I have had Kafkas officers that I've been really, really unhappy with, and I've seen Kafkas officers that I've been, fair enough. I think fair enough. They've been all right. But I have seen Kafkas officers that I've been really, really unhappy with. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that because I have. When I say about children, when I say that it's the way of looking at it, it's the way of looking at children, I know most people aren't going to accept that because it's not the way we've been brought up to look at things. And I understand that. All I'm saying is when you look at a child as your, that's the whole point of the Children Act was that we don't look at children as our property. We look at them as us having a responsibility towards them. But it's hard when it's your child. When I say it's your child, it's you love your child, right? You love your child, so you're going to see that child as your child.
But it is. Right? We go, but it's ours. You know what I'm saying? It's ours because it's our DNA. It's our.
Yeah, I know, Jason. But you have to have a kind of right. You have to have the capacity, and maybe us guys here have some, but there's a lot of people who don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
To see there's a difference between
yours
me
and
saying
yours and yours.
Sorry?
Yeah.
This is my child. Mine is my bloody possession. To I'm looking at my child and seeing, understanding up here and in here, my heart, what is best for my child. And that's a difference between just saying, look, I'm the parent, I know what's bloody best for my child. Right?
Because the parent knows what's the best for the child. The state doesn't. You see, because you are speaking from the perspective as if the state knows better.
No.
John
Paul, hang on. Let me just finish. I'm going to finish something right here and now. Not every parent knows what's best for their child. And I'll tell you why they don't always know what's best for their child. Because when you are so het up emotionally, I'm with a woman. I'm freaking. I love this, or I'm head over heels with this woman, right? She's decided she don't want me anymore. I'm not her slice of bread. She don't want me, and I've got a child with this woman, right? Or it could be somebody else. It could be somebody else has screwed with my head, right? Or maybe I've been brought up in a certain way that I do what I want to do. And I don't figure out what actually might be something else which might actually be in the child's best interest. But I don't think about it. There are so many things that can happen to you to screw with you that you are not always 100% all the time thinking, okay, having my child's thoughts on my top of my head all the time. We don't always do it because we're bloody human.
Of course. Yeah.
So don't listen. All I'm saying, do not get me wrong. I'm not saying that a lot of parents don't know what's best for their child. I'm saying that there are definitely times when they just don't. And we just have to accept that.
So the fact that some parents don't, or certain occasions don't, does not mean the state has the right to take away the right of the parent to have their child.
So what's the solution? So what's the solution? What's the solution?
All I'm saying, I'm not saying this. I'm not John Paul. I'm not saying the state have. All I'm saying is this: someone, you know, when people split up, I'm going to put it to you this way, right? I'm a child. Let's say I'm a child, and my mum and dad separate. My dad thinks this, and my mum thinks that. Can they cut me in half? They can't. Someone, somewhere down the line, has to make a decision about what is best for the child. Otherwise, what happens is this child grows up being tossed from pillar to post. And yes, you're right. Sometimes that happens in court. Sometimes a child is tossed from pillar to post. And who's there looking out for what's really in that child's best interest? And Jason and you, John Paul, and me, I've been in situations where I've had to step back. I don't think it's right. What something's happened, I don't think it's right. But you know what? I've had this. You know why I've stepped back? Because I know that if I argue the way I want to argue, right, that maybe I'll get something of what I want, but in the end, I'm only harming my child. So sometimes you do things. I know, Jason. I know you've done it.
Yeah,
sometimes you do things because you're being the bigger person.
Yeah, I've had to make sacrifices that I didn't. I've had to make sacrifices that it's made it too easy. It's made it easy for Lila now to just disregard me or not to see me as.
Yeah, but in the end, you have a relation. You will have.
Oh yeah, we have a relationship.
The relationship, but you have a better relationship than had you been kind. Because I know that for myself, if I'd made certain things hard, which I could have done,
yeah,
I know in the end it would have impacted on my child and hurt her more. And in the end, I thought, you know what? I can't make this person do what I want them to do. And what they're going to do is they're going to F it up even more. So I've stepped back.
I made a decision to stop arguing. I couldn't win an argument with my ex-wife. I couldn't win an argument if I tried. And the system didn't really help me either, to be honest with you. But what I will say, though...
The system very rarely helps. It doesn't.
Of course it doesn't.
It very rarely helps.
But
once you go down that road, once you get into court, you're already on a loser.
So can I answer, Michael? Can I answer to you? So I'm not disputing that there is times where it's appropriate for the state to intervene. And in fact, at some point, the state must breach your rights in order to be effective. So I'm not saying the state should stay out of family altogether. I went to court, we all went to court. So obviously we believe the court has its place.
Yeah.
But you see, there is the illusion the public has about what the family court is.
Yeah.
When you see Ministry of Justice, right? It's like we used to have the Ministry of Defense. And in the States, I think Trump renamed it to its appropriate name, which is the truth, which is the Ministry of War, which was the actual name. So now it should be called Ministry of, listen, if you're a mother, don't worry, we'll take care of you. If you're a solicitor, barrister, you get paid. Kafka's officers, judges will get paid. Others, you are the ones footing the bill. If that's what it was called, then everybody says, okay, do I want to go there or do I not want to go there? Yeah. But when it's called justice, because the issue here is, because Jason asked what's the solution, and I'm not sure whether the solution is to what the court is doing as it is or what should be the right thing.
Yeah.
Which one were you asking about? The court or the situation as a whole?
Well, who? What, me?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the court. For me, the whole thing needs to be flipped on its head. I mean, the whole thing needs to be flipped on its head. Really, as far as I'm concerned, this goes the whole. For me, it goes above. The judges. It goes above. This is something at the very, very top. This is something like like there's people. I believe it's they if they want your kids, they'll go after your kids. Yeah, and Michael may or may not disagree. May or may not agree. But like I believe. Sorry, my little puppy's being a little dick. Right, stop it. If they want your, I've got cases. I'm aware of people who kids have been on child protection plan, and they just got literally gone after the kids because they're not done anything with the mum at all. But the children are in his care, and it's like if the shoe were on the other foot, even the stuff that's going on now, my client, the kid would be taken off him, but it's not. And I've got in a number of cases now where the system just doesn't want to give the child to or confess or cough up and say the child needs to be with dad now. The child just needs to be with dad, and it should be, and it shouldn't be so scared. It shouldn't be so scared to do that, and it is, and it is. Yeah, and it seems to be, and it's and for me, I think that social services are scared. Every time I've had a good social worker or a good CAFCAS officer, they've always disappeared. They've always been taken off the case.
Exactly, because people misunderstand. Until I got into the system, I didn't realize. Most parents don't realize, but you see, I'm a very stubborn one. So I dive deep. I think I wrote in one of the comments when I wanted to appeal one of my decisions. Obviously, I can't talk about it now. I had everybody, including the fathers' organizations, angry with me because I dared question the system. And I knew I was right to appeal it. And I was like, oh, less than 2% win an appeal, blah, blah, blah. You can't win. And people, professionals were angry with me. I tried Mackenzie friends. I tried lawyers. I tried the fathers' organizations. Everybody was like, oh, but this is, and I'm not attacking you, Michael, when I say this, but they're giving me similar rationalizations. But I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to follow through. And I followed through and I won the appeal. And I won it because I was able to, to use a strategy. Similar. So when JC, I love your new post, by the way, because I realized the things you were saying. And I said, okay, let me apply a different mindset to it. But now the problem is when it's the mother that is not acting rationally.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the court forgets that the parent has a responsibility. All of a sudden, it changes. So I understand why they give the kids to the mothers, because it's a safer bet, right? Because, like rightly they say, mothers are the ones who mostly take care of the kids on a daily basis. So it's just a continuation of the routine, which doesn't mean that fathers cannot do it.
No.
But the reason why it's a safer bet is also because the truth is the court system really, like Michael, you said, is a money system. Because the better solution would be, think about this. Oh, they've separated. Let's agree with you, Michael. Let's say, Michael, you are right. The parents may not act rationally. Why don't we have a contact center on every corner of the street? Because we could say, okay, they've just separated. Let the money go to the contact centers so that we can have supervised contact from day one. Why do we have to wait?
It doesn't happen.
Why do you have to wait 6 months, 9 months to get to see your child for 1 hour every 2 weeks? After you spend 20,000, 30,000 pounds. Do you see what I'm saying? So even if what you're saying is true, then the solution could, which I don't agree with, but it would be better off to have supervised contact right away. Spend that 20. Parents will not gladly, but they'll pay 10,000, 20,000 pounds if they have to. They'll complain about it, but they'll pay to see the children. But the system wants the money to go to itself, not really towards serve the children.
Yeah, and I'm not going to argue with that, because I know that the way the lawyers and they work, it's a very, very expensive. For most people, can't afford. Most people can't afford. There's no way that people can afford that, and the legal system is set up in a certain way. And I think that. You've heard me say I think a lot of it is about money.
Yeah.
And I really believe it is. I really believe it is about. That doesn't make it right. I'm not saying it's right. when you if you see a child who's going through, all right, I'm going to put it this way. There are children out there that are being killed by their own parents, be it mother or father.
Yep.
Yeah, they're being killed.
Yep.
You have to recognize that we live in a society that where we don't recognize how many children are being killed by their parents. And I'm smiling, but I'm not. But it's serious.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
It is. So someone has to make decisions about that.
Yeah.
When a social worker makes that decision, right, they are getting involved in family life. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, if I wouldn't like them involved in my life, because as all people, let me put it this way: there's 100 men or 100 women in a room, and if I said to you, put your hands up if you're a bad parent, how many hands do you think will go up?
Yeah, of course.
No one wants to accept that they are perhaps not as good a parent as they'd like to be. No one.
Yeah. It'd be difficult.
Which includes me. Yeah. No one does. We all want to think we're the best parents. So when you're...
Is it my internet? Because that is.
Yeah.
Just at the best part as well.
You are. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me on, by the way, as well.
As a parent, actually, you've got to do this, so you've got to do... But we live in a society. So did I cut off?
You did, yeah, you did, yeah. Literally. This is the best bit. This is the best bit as well.
Right. Well, what I was saying is that there are no parent likes to be told what they need to do. No one does.
No.
Because we all want to believe always that we are right and we know exactly what's best. And unfortunately, the reality is that I don't know what percentage, but it's a significant percentage. It's a smaller percentage, but it's significant enough that there are parents out there that will kill their children. And they're doing it, and they do it at least one child a week is killed by a parent in the UK.
Wow.
In the States, it's 5.36 children are killed by parents. Right? So when I say to you that people don't always know what's best for their child, and I say most of them do, but some of them don't, that is what I mean. And that is, you're talking about murder. Yeah. Let alone most people, it's just kind of they're abusing them, or they're neglecting them, or they're arguing with the other parent and not recognizing the impact it's having.
I think it's really powerful what you just did there, the point you made there. I think for me, I've got my viewpoint based on, you said something about appeals earlier, Jean-Paul, yeah? You said about, I think the system, if it goes against, even if you've got all the evidence in the world, even if you've got all the evidence in the world, and you can prove everything, it won't let you prove it because it goes against the narrative of what the system wants. So if in the system, for some reason, doesn't want dads being the main carer, or the system's not set up for dads to be. Look at, there's no. Would you take your daughter into a men's toilet cubicle? I've taken my daughter into men's toilets before. I've had to, but they're not set up. They're not set up with baby changing units. They're not set up like the way women's toilets are set up, like that sort of stuff. When I've got male victims of domestic abuse, there's no. I said it to you before. About there's not been any material for the male victims. The people who have been taking the victims, there's been no material for them. It's all been guided towards the females. So nothing's set up for men.
I think we've got to fundamentally, and this you guys may disagree with me, but fundamentally, in order to we'd have to change society. That doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean that's wrong. I think we need to be changing society. It needs to change. We need to recognize that there are lots of men out there that can care well for their children. There are lots of men out there that can. with social workers, I mean, social workers, we need more men as social workers. We do need more men as social workers. Fundamentally, what we've got is men gravitate. You get to men, you get a lot of men, a fair amount of male managers, but you don't get a lot of male social workers. They don't stay social workers, and we need more of it. And it would have some effect. I don't know. I think society itself would have to change.
I think it's going to change. I think by 2030, nothing's going to be the same. Do you know what I mean? I think by 2030, I think you're going to have AI juries, AI foster families, AI social workers, AI judges, AI CAFCAS officers, and in some cases, I think it could be a good thing. But you're always going to need the emotional. You're always going to need the emotional bit in this sort of stuff. But I think if it meant being straight down the middle, and it was actually being fair and doing what's right by the child, and let the dads having the good dads being dads, let them be dads rather than rather than put up with the crap that some of them have to put up with, and what I've had to put up with, whatever. Then I think that'd be a good thing. I think it would be a good thing in that aspect. But I don't really want AI taking over the world. But at the same point, I want fairness, and if it's going to mean because I believe subconsciously, well, yes, there's a narrative there, but subconsciously we are always going to be biased. Whether you've got a male social worker or a female social worker, they're going to be biased subconsciously against or in favor of the whatever gender.
So if I may, so Michael said something which I agree with earlier. He says most people cannot do social work. I mean, they can't. So much respect, because I've spoken to social workers and it's difficult. Like I couldn't do it, right? Even I've helped fathers, strategize in court. Even that is a struggle for me. Reading through the papers, and it's like it messes with your head. I'm so Jason has nightmares every day. You know, so it is a difficult job, and it's unfortunately a necessary job. And you are right. There are parents who will harm their children, and we all know they do. I'm sure we all have somebody close to us, and I would argue a lot of mothers are very abusive. And it's not Sam. I don't. You see, to me, to say Sam is an understatement. From my perspective, any mother that stops the children from seeing the father out of spite is abusive. Period.
But I agree.
Now, if they've been abused, I can expect it. If they've been battered like from pillar to post and it's not safe, then there needs to be something in place for that supports them, because I wouldn't want, that's for me, that's something.
If a mother stops the child from seeing their father, and it's not based on the fact that based on the child being abused or the child witnessing abuse or the father doing something which they shouldn't really do, that anything other than that is wrong. It's just wrong, and it's harmful. It's totally harmful.
But even with that, because in most cases, let's be honest, right? In most cases, both parents are abusive. Period.
Yes. If you're in family court, I'd agree with that. If you're in family court, then both parties will be abusive.
I'll hold my hand up. I'm not. I've done some abusive things, right? I've done things as a man I'm not proud of. I would never go as far as
physical.
What I don't know what to call her.
Physical, but physical.
I'm not the kind of person who likes to be malicious. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Intentionally.
I mean, I'm not an angel or anything.
Of course.
Most people will say I'm an asshole, and they are probably right. But the thing is, I'm not, or I hope I'm not, the kind of person who maliciously goes out to hurt people. But there are many people who do that. Some of the things that happen in court, to be honest, is just people growing up. People need to have room to grow up. I would say half of the cases, about 10 years, if they stay together 10, 20, 30 years, they'll sort it out. It's just immaturity, cultural, whatever. It's life, right? We are acting like it's all unicorns. It's life. So I'm not for abuse, but sometimes the man or the woman will abuse the other. But I'm saying they are capable of sorting it out between themselves, because That's life. But it's different
They've
from
got the
when
emotional
somebody,
maturity to do that.
yeah, but that's different from people who I think is a large percentage with personality disorders, who they will never accept they were wrong, and they think they have the right to abuse the other person.
Yeah.
And to be honest, a lot of mothers fall under that category.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of movement to like now they want to say borderline personality disorder shouldn't be a disorder because it affects females, so we should call it PTSD. But it's borderline personality disorder. We are happy to call men narcissists, but we don't want to say BPD exists. So my point is, regardless of what the state is doing, those parents there's no law you can pass that will stop abusers from abusing. Right. So then it is indeed, I believe, appropriate for the state to intervene in those cases. But in a large number of the court cases, within the let's say if it takes a 1 month, 2 month delay because of or 13 weeks for the Section 7, but within the Section 7, you could have determined, you know what, these are just two people, they are bitter at each other, they're angry at each other. Sort out the contact. We don't have to wait 18 months or 9 months to say, okay, let's start from 1 hour a week. Do you know what I mean? The Section 7 report resolve it right there.
I do know what you mean, and I know. So what I would say is this: there are, once it gets into court, it just goes down the wrong road. If there are people who can sort out their differences, the problem is it might take them 5-10 years, and in that 5 or 10 years, their child is going through all that shit in that period of time.
Yeah.
If they can sort out their differences, if they can sort things out in a reasonable way within a reasonable period of time, it'd be better off if the court weren't involved, if social services or CAFCAS, weren't involved.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of people it takes them too long to sort out their things.
Yeah.
That they might sort out. You're right. I think people will sort it out in the end, but in that process of time, that's that child's, how can I put it?
There's
special time for that child to grow up, and they don't need that shit going on in their life in that time.
But what the family court are doing though, is they're saying it's okay to leave the child with the person who's probably behaving the worst in terms of making the dad's life miserable. And I look at I talk about my own stuff. Like my ex-wife, is intent on making my life. Even now, after all these years, she's the one who's suffering with the trauma. She's the one who's got issues that needs help with, but no one's actually dealt with those at all. And my daughter's been brought up by her. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing.
Exactly. And also when because in effect, all the court really does, in effect, I'm not talking what they write on paper, what happens in real life from the child's perspective.
Yeah.
All they do is make sure the child stays with the mother. Yeah. In reality. And if the mother is dysfunctional, all the stuff you're describing is going to be worse, because now she's going to meet another man who's probably worse than the father because it's not his child. And the child experiences a way worse experience, and the child is missing the father, or is being told the father is a bad person by everybody. So what you're saying, that in the real world, it doesn't solve the problem.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't solve a problem. I agree. Yeah. It doesn't solve it. I would never argue with you, John Paul or Jason, that it solves a problem, because it never does. You know what? Jason, you're talking about you and the mother of your child.
Yeah.
Nothing can solve the problem except the two of you.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. Yep.
Nothing can ever solve that problem. When John Paul, if you talk about you and someone else, whoever comes in, whether it be the court, whether it be a CAFCAS officer, whether it be a counsellor, whether it be a social worker, whether it be a psychologist, they can't really solve that problem. They can advise or they can suggest, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you, John Paul, and that woman. And if that woman wants to make you a life, if that woman wants to make you a life of living misery, she can do. And I've also seen situations where there are men who are like, they've used the court. They use.
Have you seen them cases? Have you actually seen them? Have you?
As a weapon?
Yeah.
They
Give me
use
some
their
examples of what
child
that looks
and
like.
they
Give me
use
some
the
examples of
court
what that
as a
looks like.
weapon.
Sorry? Give me some examples of what that looks like. Because I can't.
Looks like. I'll tell you what that looks like. That looks like bringing the family back to court again.
Yeah.
It looks like choosing anything that they can do to cause an argument, to make an argument, to make it look like they're both arguing, when actually sometimes it's just one person. But you won't see it because they're not looking at it the way they need to look at it.
You see, I agree with you, but because that is there are several core issues, which is why I like Jason, because Jason is going like deeper than everybody is willing to go. You're the first person since I've gone into this that has actually been honest enough and actually thought of the philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
Because one of the issues is by gendering the abuse, we are creating more problems. If we just said abusive people, that alone will solve lots of problems. Because listen, the fathers, when I got into that relationship, I was very, very immature. I don't know how mature I am today, but at that time, I was a child. You understand? So I got into that position, and realizing that I was being a child is what helped me the court process, because the court is built around like Jason says, they expect you to be dysfunctional. The moment you're not triggered, they are like it's like like the vampire movie, and you have the cross, and the vampire is like it's like oh, that was supposed to be right. You understand? So that's what helped me. So that's why I knew I was going to win my appeal, because I knew I was not going to come at it the same way everybody else does. But the thing is, so the fathers, I'm not saying the fathers are not to blame, because the biggest weakness, and I'm sure Jason has seen this, and and that's why I prefer to be a strategist rather than a Mackenzie friend. Yeah. But the biggest problems fathers have is they can't accept they were also wrong.
Yes.
And because of that, they are not able to solve the problem, that because they are not seeing their own faults. So the psychology of the court, they can't be impervious or immune to it, because they still play into it. So I'm not in no any way saying the fathers are not to blame. It's both that are used to blame. But if you want to attack, the nuclear family or whatever it is they are trying to do, it's easier to go through the female. That is the only reason why the mothers get out. It's not like they love mothers. They don't care about mothers. They'll throw the mother under the bus at any moment, especially when it's convenient for them. When the expert money comes in, they are quick to go against the mother, but that's another story. Yeah. But the bottom line is, it's not about mothers or fathers. It should of course be about the children, but it's not about the children. I agree with Jason. If we are, because I'm assuming we are here at the end of the day to help parents, right? So at the end of the day, the truth is, the system is the system. It is how it works. I don't agree. The reason why I oppose your arguments, Michael, is because it's good to know that argument. You have to know it very intimately, but you can't take it as your reality, because then you will lose. It's like you go against, let's say you have your puppy. You want your puppy to come to you. If you say, "Oh, come here," no, it's gonna come to you. But also that the puppy does not, necessarily understand the exact words, but understands the tone and the gesture. It's the same with the court. The judge wants to hear X, Y, and Z. It's rubbish. I don't know if I'm right to say bullshit on this show, but am I? Can I say bullshit?
Carry on.
Okay, so it's bullshit, but that's what they need to hear. So you say it. But if you believe it, then you become victim of the court, because then they'll keep manipulating you, and you won't see it for what it is. So what I'm saying is, the reality is the court is there. It's gonna be there for the next how many years? It's gonna be as it is.
Yeah.
So to win, you realize, okay, this is how it works. These are the lies. This is the bullshit, and see it as what it is. Don't rationalize it, because in reality, that's all it is. and then you proceed accordingly. And the one last thing I want to say is the incentives are also there to create more conflict.
Yes.
Because if the court held both parents accountable, because notice parents are not really held accountable to what they do to the child. It's all really about the domestic abuse towards the mother, for the most part, if you have to be honest, right? If you look at what it is, it's not even about the child. But if both parents were held accountable, the cases would cut down drastically, because people will be like, you know what, the judge is going to tell me off. The mother is like, yeah, he's going to tell me off too. All right, just come pick up your son or pick up your daughter. Problem solved.
But we get too emotionally entangled. We get too emotionally entangled and lost in. We feel like when I was going through it, it was like I've had something taken away, my daughter taken away from me through no fault of my own. And I couldn't see at the time. I couldn't see my own faults. I couldn't see my flaws at the time. And I can now, looking back now, and I have to see. I have to think really hard. I can't justify it in my mind, but I can't. But the way my ex-wife treats me and whatever, but that's how she feels. I have to accept that's how she feels. I have to accept that's what it is, and so be it. So I move on and try and work around it. But people don't always go about it that way. And I don't understand. I don't understand why there has to be a winner and a loser, someone to blame, always someone to blame. Like, that's the thing. It's like, why do we have to have someone? Both of people are to blame. Like, it takes two.
Yeah.
See, for me, this whole winner, I've looked at it and I think, when I went through my court case,
yeah.
All right, and I was a social worker at the time. Obviously, I didn't talk about that because it wasn't relevant. But for me, it wasn't. Winning wasn't part of it. All I wanted to do was just be able to have some time that I could see my child.
Yep.
That's all I wanted. Some consistent time to be able to see my child.
Yeah.
So I made sure that I didn't do anything. And don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm a guy. I'm not perfect at all.
Yeah.
But when it came to my daughter, when I got to court, I just made sure that they couldn't say anything that I done this or I done that. I just made sure that they couldn't. She could have said blah blah blah, but there's no evidence to back it up. But I had to look at it and I had to look at it and think, why should she? I could have looked at it and said, why should she have my child? Why should she have? Because I believe I'm a better parent.
Ben generally are, to be statistically.
But what I did in the end was I thought, well, look, you know what? All I wanted was my daughter not to go through arguments. I didn't want her to be in the middle of World War III.
Yeah,
I just didn't want that for her.
Yeah. And
so for me, I just thought, the best thing I do is just, go to court so that I can have a chance to see my child and she can know who I am. So when she's old enough, she can spend, if she needs to, she wants to, she can spend some time with me. But I specifically didn't go to sort of, I want 50-50 or I want 100, half. Because I just thought, because for me, I just thought, you know what? Yes, I would have wanted it. I would have loved it. But I knew that it was just going to be, it wasn't going to be helpful. Mm-hmm. So I kind of backed off certain things.
I can relate to that.
That's just my thing. Not everyone has to do that. Not everyone feels the need to do it. And some people quite understandably, they want their child living with them. I want my child living with me, but I had to sacrifice, and that's just what I decided to do because I knew it was going to just be arguments, just be constant arguments. I just didn't want that for her. She didn't deserve it.
Do you get to the point where, for me, I couldn't argue anymore. I just couldn't be bothered to argue. I've got no more fucking energy left to argue for me at least. And for everyone else, I could argue for everyone else all day long. I can find ways through in that all day long, right? But for me,
you got to figure out. Look. This is the way I look at it, and you guys may disagree with me, but I look at it, and this is where I use your word strategy.
Yeah.
John Paul. My strategy, my end goal is for my child or my children to grow up to be able to take care of themselves and to be independent and have a good life. I know that if I do certain things with the mother, and if I continue arguing with it, it's knowing her, she's going to continue arguing. It's never going to end. It's going to be going on and on. And I don't want that. I'm not I don't even want a woman that's going to argue. I don't want any arguments. I want none of that. If she's going to give me that argument, I'm out the door. I don't want it.
I mean,
I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
No, but the thing is, you see, I agree with you that the problem is the court is set up so that it's an adversarial system. So the only way, listen, even the females, right? They wouldn't be screaming abuse if there was another way for them to get legal aid. You know, if it was a system where they could represent themselves and actually have a proper case without, because if the truth is, if we were to follow the law, men would win most of the time, because we follow if this then that. We are very logical, we're very objective, so we have an advantage there. So I think that's also why they skew the laws. So the females have to come back with what? Emotions, with smearing you, because that's their weapon, because they are better at making you look bad, right? So now when somebody says, let me find a mild one. Let's say he threw my favorite CD out the window. Let's say you didn't do that, but she has to say that so that she can get a lawyer. And now she can't backtrack and say, oh, he didn't really do it, because then she'll feel stupid, So the system is set up that the conflict is inevitable. Otherwise, because parents could come to the court, like mediation is what the court is doing, what the mediation claims to do, which it doesn't. We all know it's just a formality. But the court should actually be what mediation is doing. Like, really, okay, what happened? Let's sort it out. But the court expects one person to be the bad guy and one person to be the good guy.
Yep.
And that's the problem.
Once you go to court, you're already on. It's adversarial, as you say. It's adversarial. So once you go there, you're already on a loser, one way or another. And there'll be women out there. There'll be women out there, and if we had women in here, right? There'll be women out there saying, "You as men think, or we as men think that we've lost out." But you see, when you are a parent, and let's say you're a mother and you've got all the child, and you've taken on that responsibility, and you're not looking, you don't look for the man to support you in any way or share that burden, right? You're losing out, and that child is losing out. That child is losing out on their parent, on their father, and that mother is losing out because it's a big responsibility on their own. And yet, I know that is good. What I'm saying to you is, if we had women in here, they'd be saying a different argument, right?
Yeah,
and right.
I'm going to try and get some women who have different perspectives.
Get some women here. They'll be having. Because
I want to be there.
No. This is the thing, and that's what I'm saying to you guys. We're living in a thing where there's a war going on between men and women, and we don't come together. We don't sort of see it. We kind of we polarize. We are polarized.
But right? The thing is,
and the court doesn't make it easy. The court makes it worse, because it's a totally adversarial situation. Once you go down that court, that's why I agree with you. If you could sort it out without going to court, you'll be better off.
But if I may say something to that quickly. So I don't buy into the whole gender war thing, because it's just in reality is an illusion. Because I think men and women want each other more than they hate each other. The problem is there is conflict of interest. When the mother has I'm gonna try to go as deep as Jason goes if I attempt.
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, so basically here's the psychology. The female saw a guy. She met someone. Let's say she met someone like me. Listen, other than my child's mother, I'm a womanizer. You know, I don't do what I did with her. That was an exception, and it got me in that situation. But you know, the people that I don't get into relationships like that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So she meets me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll sleep with her. She sleeps with me. She likes it, but I'm not getting into relationships. I don't want to have a child.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it. Then she meets another guy who will take her to dinner. She doesn't really like him like that, but he's stable. He'll spend money on her. He'll be nice to her, and he's available whenever she wants him. She's like, okay, if I have a child with this guy, he's gonna, you know, even if I split up with him, he's steady. He's gonna have a job. He's gonna pay the bills and so forth. Yep. I'm gonna have a child with this guy. I'm just being plain. She doesn't sexually really desire him like that. She doesn't want him like that.
Safe pair of hands.
But, say it again.
He's a safe pair of hands, financially safe.
He's safe.
Yeah.
So now they have a kid, but now she doesn't. As human beings, we get a toy, but we realize the toy is not what I thought so the ad, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't like this man anymore, and I don't want him around, but now she's a mother. So when she goes out dating and men find out she has a child, it's like, you understand? She gets that look that she never saw before she had a child.
Yep.
So she's like, oh, okay.
Why do two things, because two things. You don't think there's a war going on between men and women. You are a black guy. I'm telling you now. I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak for the white population, but I'm telling you now. There is a frigging war going on between black men and black women. That is 100%. Right?
But I can address that. But let me finish up, and I'll address that. But let me finish up. So she sees this guy. Now she goes out dating, and she realizes people are not looking at me the same. And any guy I date has a problem because they are thinking in their head, yeah, but what? Because in the other guy's head, anybody she meets, he's like, yeah, but you've already got a man who has slept with you. I can see the evidence because the children are running around. And at any moment, he might come back. You may cheat on me with him. You may get back with him. I just don't want his presence. And she's like, yeah, I don't like him anyway. He's irritating me. How do I get rid of him? Enter the family court system. It's like, do you want to get rid of that guy who keeps annoying you, but still get his money? Come to us, and we have a solution for you. You understand? So what the female wants psychologically, not always, but for the most part, she wants a clean break, or as much of a break as she can get. So, and I put it in one of the comments. So for example, if she goes to court and you get 1 hour a year to see your child, the whole year, just forget 1 hour, 15 minutes phone call on Christmas once every year. Some fathers have that.
Yeah.
To her, that's too much. To her, she's lost.
Yeah.
Because she still has to know that at the end of the year, she has to make those 15 minutes. So whatever man she's with and whatever life she's giving on, there's an interruption, there's a disruption to it.
Wow, yeah.
So her mind is, she wants all out to get rid of him. And it's been promised.
Destruction, destroy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been promised by the system. But the father was very naive. He wasn't a womanizer like myself. So he doesn't know that the fact that she slept with him doesn't mean she loves him, because a lot of males believe that if a female sleeps with you, it means she loves you. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
So now, but he thought that. So he's bitter, he's distraught, and then he wants to see his child. So the child now becomes the bait. You understand? For the mother is the obstacle, and for the father is the bait. So the father will shell out. I'm sure you've seen 200,000, 250,000, 300,000, 20,000, 50,000, however much money it takes to see his child, because that's his child. He will sell the house. He will, we've all sacrificed. So my point is, because of that psychology, it's impossible to go in without thinking you have to win. You have to win, otherwise you will not get to see your child.
Right. Let me go back. I just wanted to pick, because I do think you need to have women in here, Jason. You can start maybe with Preeti.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something, because this is what guys say, and I don't get me wrong, because I'm a guy. I've been around, but I no longer think because a woman's got a child. You see, maybe I no longer think, oh, because she's damaged goods. It's the way some people think. I don't think that way anymore.
No,
the way I look at it is, she's got a child. It depends how she is with her child. It depends the quality of how she is.
She may be a relationship with an ex-boyfriend or ex-husband. That's what it depends on. How well does she treat the ex-partner? That's for me what
Exactly.
it looks for.
Well, that's another thing. If she treats that ex-partner bad, and she's got no reason to treat him bad, that's a message to me. My message is that's a red flag. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone I don't want a woman who's treating anybody bad.
Yeah.
If that's the kind of woman she is, she's not for me, because it's not what I want, right?
But the thing is,
we as men, right? Part of us as being as men have to look at it. We have to be man enough to see. Look, there's lots of guys out there, right? You're talking about being a womanizer. I've been there. You've gone somewhere. You've met a woman. Yeah, you fancy her. You want to sleep with her. Listen, and then a lot of guys don't even take the responsibility of thinking, actually, 2 twos and the person's pregnant. And that's not their concern. It is their concern. Right?
I agree.
We've got to be man enough to look at what we're doing, right? Just as women should be women enough to look at what they're doing. Women are wrong when they do that thing, to when they're just not interested, and to talk. If there's a woman, if there are women out there, this is what you're both saying. There are women out there that want to get rid of the man, and they're using the family court to get rid of the man. That is one of the lowest. There's not much lower than that. Yeah, that is very low. And there are men out there who they see a woman, they might fancy the woman, whatever, because they just want sex. They're not thinking that woman, that child is seeing them. That child is having to see their mum being used in a certain way, because they're women that grow up, and that's all they see. They see themselves growing up. They see that women are just being used.
But how are they being used?
That's why Jason needs to have women in here, right?
Yeah, but how are they being used?
Because some men just see women as for sex. They don't see them in any other way.
So, but how?
No.
But how
do you
say
so what? Hang on. Oh, whoa. Who wants to be just seen? If we really want to be honest, who wants to be just seen?
Me.
Just seen. Yes, it's nice to see. Nice to think you're sexy, yeah. But that's all we see you as a piece of meat.
What else? What else?
Is that what you want?
Is
that what you really want? And is that what you want your daughter to be seen as? Just, or if you've got children, listen, let's be straight, right? We're talking about being deep. Let's be deep. I would not want my daughter to be just seen as a piece of meat. I'm that piece of meat. I've got a heart, I've got a soul, I've got a brain, I've got intelligence, I've got feelings. Respect me. Don't treat me like I'm a piece of meat, right? That's something, I tell you, there's no way I would agree with that at all.
But
if that's what you really believe, there's something wrong. Because when we are people, we are human beings. Don't treat us like we're just meat. We're not just meat.
Listen, there's times when you meet someone. I don't know the language we can use, so I just
be you. Just be you. It's fine.
Sorry.
Just be you. Just be you. It's fine. I mean, I'm learning.
Can I swear? Can I?
Yeah.
Can I say the F word and everything?
Yeah. We'll crack on. Just be you. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So you see a female, you just want to fuck her sometimes, right? And that doesn't mean you see her less of as a human being. The same way she may see you, she's like, oh, I want to sit on his dick. And that doesn't mean she's no, let me finish. That doesn't mean that's all there is to you. But it's Friday night. So at that time, that's all you think about. Next time, if I give you a call and I fucked you a few times and I like the sound of your voice, I'm gonna invite you for a coffee. And then I get to know more about you. But in the meantime, it doesn't mean I see you as less, and doesn't mean that I'm seen as less. We are sexual beings. So it's okay to see a woman. Wow, I like her tits. Wow, I like that ass. I wonder what her pussy looks like. You understand?
Hang on a second.
No, let me finish. It doesn't mean you say that's all there is to her. At that point, you're in the sexual frame. If you're in the intellectual frame and she has read Nietzsche and you're discussing that discussion, we are not one-dimensional. But we don't treat sex as a negative thing. There's nothing wrong with
no. I'm not saying sex. I'm not saying sex is a negative thing. I'm saying this. If I see a woman, and don't get me wrong, I see women, I think, that really sexy, and you go through, I wouldn't mind doing this, blah blah blah. But what I'm saying to you is this. I recognize that woman. Just as I think about myself, right? I've got a friend, for example. I'll give you an example. I've got a friend, good friend of mine, and this woman liked him. This woman fancied him, and he just didn't fancy her. Maybe if he'd have fancied her, it'd been different. But it would have been different. But she fancied him, and she was kind of a bit aggressive with him. When I say a bit aggressive, she wanted to get something going on, so she keeps saying things to him like, we've all got needs, we've all got needs, right? He wasn't attracted to her. She may have seen him just as a piece of meat, that someone she wanted to make love with. He didn't want to just be seen as a piece of meat because he wasn't attracted to her. But even if he was attracted to her, there's like you're just saying, you see a woman that you want to screw or you want to F her or whatever like that. What I'm saying to you is, yes, that sex is part of it. But when you are a bit more mature, you look beyond that, because you do look beyond that. And I'll tell you why you look beyond that. That woman, right? It's the same with, if it's your sister, if it's your mother, you have to look at people and see them as human beings first. And if you don't, if you see them as just sexual objects for that period of time, you miss out on a number of things, and you're not thinking about the fact that person's got may have maybe a mother, that their child might see certain things.
John Paul, are you saying though? You're saying part of your how you go out, part of your personality, part of your who you are is you before you enter into a relationship with someone, you have to be physically attracted to them. Basically, is what you're saying. You have to be physically attracted to them sexually.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm saying
but everybody. Let me say something to you, Michael. You see, number one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So first of all, females love sex more than men.
Yes, I've heard. Yes.
When you see all these single mothers, they want to fuck. They want to fuck on the weekend, and they don't want to be attached to the man they are fucking. So if it's a criticism of me,
listen.
Because you think I'm using the females, or any man is using the females, if anything, it's the other way around.
Look.
Let me tell you. No, let me just finish the thought quickly. Now, if she has kids, I'm not going to go over to her house where she has kids. I will never introduce any female. For my female to meet my kids, it will take her at least 2 or 3 years of knowing me. Maybe a year, at least a year, but maybe 2 years before I even say hello. Like, you're not gonna even see my child. You understand what I'm saying? You know, I don't put
understand.
people all over. You may not even like. I don't mix. Is a grown-up thing? It's an adult thing. So we don't mix it.
Yeah.
If a female says, "Oh, are you gonna call me after?" No. You understand? Like I'm not telling her, listen, come over, let's have sex, and then I'll marry you.
Yeah.
And you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying go and lie to females. I'm not saying deceive people, but it's very I would argue disingenuous to make it look like them, because you said the women are being used. They are not being used. COVID, women were driving for dick for long distances. You see them on the street. Maybe some came over to yours. So my point is, it's not a matter of the females are being used. Grown-ups, adults have sex. End of. It has nothing to do being used.
Hang on a second. I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I know that there are women out there who love sex more than men. Fine. There's no problem with that. That's great, because there's nothing wrong with that.
How many sex toys do you have?
I don't have sex toys, but it doesn't matter.
The females you know, ask them how many sex toys they have. Every female you know has at least a tiny dildo.
Listen, the point I'm making to you is this, and this is why it's useful to have women on the show. It's like, it's you know what this is like? This is the same as, you see, as men, we look at things in a certain way, and I know that I've looked at things the way you looked at it. I've been there. I have been there, right? When you have women on the show, generally they will see things in a different way, right? And it's right. We have to also, if it's part of being mature enough to see that there are other ways of seeing things.
Yeah.
Right. Get women on the show.
I want to
find out what it's saying. And there are women out there who will tell you. And I know a number. Listen, I know a number of black women, and I know a number of black women who will tell you, right, that they have grown up seeing exactly what men do. And I'm not going to argue with that, because I've been part of that. I've seen women, and that's all I've wanted to do at certain times. But I've grown up, and I've also recognised there's certain things that I now look at in a slightly different way. Not in almost a completely different way, because I'm a father, and because I suppose my whole life is about thinking, what do we do with our children? How do we grow our children? How do we give our children the best example so that they can grow up to be the best people they can be? That's what I'm about. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, but I recognize that I know that if I see a woman and that is what's in my mind, that's all that's in my. I'm not looking at what a child's thinking. I'm not looking at how this child's gonna. What this child's going to learn from. I'm thinking about what I want.
But why does the child even have to know you exist? Why the child doesn't have to know the child? Just to be clear, I'm not,
because most women, not all of them, but most women want. They don't just want sex.
Oh, that's a lie.
Some do. Listen.
But that's the belief that gets fathers in this situation.
Hang on a second, let me finish. Because just as there's a variety of men out there, there are a variety of women out there, right? Not all women want just to have sex. They want
Lots do though.
Right? They want more. They want a man. Sometimes some women want a man who can actually give them some emotional warmth and can be worthwhile.
Okay, hang on a minute.
And they want to see, and they want a child to see that. They want a child.
May I? Let me just forgive me. I know I'm interrupting you. No, the child should not know you exist. If you are sleeping with the mother, you don't. The mother should do it. Yeah. The mother should send the kids to the dad's home. Yeah, for that week or weekend, and then she can do what she wants to do. It's nobody's business. I'm not criticizing women for wanting sex.
Yeah.
Don't in any way, shape, or form think it's a criticism.
It's their choice.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
What you're saying, what Jean Paul's saying is, you're saying you separate. You said adult things, you separate the child things. You a different life.
Yeah, my children will never know that I'm even whether I have a girlfriend and they don't. There's none of their business.
Yeah.
If I'm going to enter a serious relationship with that person,
that's
after
your choice.
I've known that person, then they can know. Listen, guys, there's a conversation.
Listen.
There's somebody I've been seeing. I've not done that yet, but one day let me just quickly finish. It will happen, but in the beginning, you don't need to meet the kids. You don't need to know who the kids are. The kids don't need to know you, because it's just two grown-ups doing what they do.
Yeah, and I understand that. And it's a parental choice about that. And obviously, if you're looking out for your child, you're not going to have, Tom and Dick and Harry coming round when whatever. You want your child to see. You don't want your child seeing that. Yeah. And also when it comes to, I'm not someone who's, you might think I'm really puritanical. I'm not. I'm not someone who's also into, marriage. I'm not, because I think people get married for the wrong reasons every day. I think people will be better off half the time if they just have a relationship, but have a decent relationship, have a relationship that's worthwhile.
You see, I agree.
think a lot of time what we're doing is trying, listening to what society says and what we see. We spend millions on weddings, and the marriage lasts 3 seconds, and you spent 50 grand on it, and you haven't got anything right. You've got your head. Huh?
Most expensive party I've ever paid for in my life. Most expensive party I ever paid for was my engagement party. I was paying for my engagement party after we even separated. You know what I mean? It was like, that's how bad it was.
We got things the wrong way round. It's the wrong way round.
So my whole
relationship would be the most important thing, not the flipping marriage or not the wedding. We get it the wrong way round.
You see, the reason why I brought all this up is a lot of fathers they are very naive about these things. I'm just telling you, like, I'm saying what it is. I would love for females to be here, and I understand that females will lie about it as well, because the society judges them. I don't judge a female for having sex the same way I don't judge a male. What I do judge in males, for example, is lying. You understand? I get rejected a lot because I make it clear up front. It's not good. I've not thought beyond taking your panties off. That's as far as my mind has gone. So if that's not acceptable to you, then I'm not the person. You shouldn't be interacting with each other.
I respect that. I think it's brilliant.
But a lot of guys will pretend because they rather have sex than go without it, and they will lie to do it. Yeah. So that's what a lot of men do. A lot of men that in court is because they lied to a female. So now she's like, oh, he lied to me, I'm going to pay him back. So again, I've never said throughout, when I've been invited here, that men are innocent, because we are not innocent.
Well, you said,
it's both parties that need to grow up, but we don't have you see, the way I speak, obviously I make it funny, but the truth is I try to bring the reality that we are afraid to speak, but it's true. Because a female cannot come on your show and say, I like to have sex on the weekend just for fun, and sometimes I sleep with random guys. Why? Because she's dating a guy who, if he knows that, he's not gonna marry her. Like, I will marry, what's her name? Is it Bonnie Blue or ever? If I meet her and I like her, I'll marry her. I don't care that she slept with 1,000 guys on TV. It's her life. I didn't know her at that time. When we are married, once we get in a relationship and the rule is we don't sleep with 1,000 people in 24 hours, that's different. But until that point, everybody.
Who are you to say what she can and can't do until that point?
Exactly. Because most guys, if their favorite porn star appeared in front of them, they'll sleep with her even if they are married. So we can't be hypocrites and be judging females, but females can't be honest about it because of the judgment, and because like I'll marry a porn star. I don't mind marrying a porn star. Let me rephrase: a past porn star, not necessarily a working one. I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't.
I hear what you're saying. I hear you.
But most guys won't, because they'll be like, oh, she's for the streets or whatever. That's not how I look at life. You understand? Because I'm a Christian, and for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. You understand? Your righteousness is like filthy rags in front of the Lord. So none of us is holy. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
But my point is, I'm bringing it up because a lot of fathers don't understand that the reason why the mother is being vindictive is because they also lied. They were buying the dinners, they were buying the flowers just to get to the sex.
Yeah.
And now she's bitter about it. You understand what I'm saying? Or they're seeing the red flag. Say that again.
Yeah, and it's probably happened to her before.
Yeah, so that happens.
This builds up, you know. For her, it's one of those things that are going on, and that's why she in her mind. I mean, I may be articulating it in the way that a woman would, right? But in her mind, it's probably the fifth or sixth or seventh or maybe 10th person who's done that kind of thing to them, and they're not, you know.
Because by society standards, I'm the bad guy because of what I'm saying. But the good guy is the one who lies.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where it's twisted. And then the other side of it is a lot of fathers think they'll still have a chance of getting back with the mother. I've seen that. So because of that, they don't push as hard as they need to. They don't put in place what they need to put in place because they think, oh, I don't want to upset her because maybe, because they have this, I don't know how, but they have this fantasy that, oh, maybe if she sees I'm not really that bad, I'm not really going against her, I'll have a chance, and then they lose on their kids. So you have to know the full reality of the situation before you can actually win your case.
Yeah. Agree. I mean, when you get into a relationship, and I think I did a video on this the other day. When you get into a relationship, you have to know the person you're getting involved with. You have to know who you're getting into bed with. You really have to know that person. Because
but how often do you? How often do you know that person?
Very rarely.
I see it all the time. The new women will say, "Oh, the ex-boyfriend was this and that and nasty to me," and then they get to the end of their relationship and she does exactly the same thing to him as what she says about to the ex-boyfriend that done to the ex-boyfriend.
Exactly.
And it's like it's a cycle until they get beaten at it. Until someone says, "No, that's not going to happen." You go through family court or whatever and get a decent result. It's going to get harder. It's going to obviously get harder. But like, if that's the only time you're going to stop them. I mean, look at my ex-wife is still doing the same things now as what she was doing 15 years ago, 20 years ago with me. Do you know what I mean? And I've evolved. I'm not the same person as I was, but and we said this earlier, I'm involved. She's still doing the same stuff, making the same mistakes. I believe I'm a better person. I try and be the best I can be every single day for my daughter more than anything else, and for myself, and just for those around me. But like, she doesn't, so she can't think that way. She doesn't think the same way as I do. But yeah, I'm the bad person. I'm the one who's. She's the one who cheated on me. She's the one who done. I'm the villain. I'm the villain still. And it doesn't matter where you look at it in family court. There always has to be the villain, and it always generally is going to be the bloke.
Exactly, because the thing is, if you look at it from the political standpoint, it pays to pander to females. You understand? Because 80% of all consumer spending is women.
Yeah,
80% all because of women, right? So you always want to follow the money to see why things are the way they are. So it's not in reality. It's not like the court hate men. They don't care either way. But they have to go, what's the safest option? Because if they give the child to the mother, let's look at the example of a very sad story of Star Hobson, right? I'm sure you know the story.
Yeah.
There isn't much criticism about it, though. We are not really talking about it today, right? Why? Because it was a lesbian couple.
Mm-hmm.
But when, I don't know what the lady's name is, but now they want to take away the presumption of parental involvement, even make it worse, because 11 years ago, one man killed a child who was probably insane. The man, I mean, there's no other explanation for it. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. So they are using that story to affect all men. Mm-hmm. But when a woman does it, the judge, if let's say there was a court proceeding, that judge is not going to get criticized if the mother kills the child. Because I know one thing you've not said, but I don't know the exact stats. I'm willing to bet that most of the people who kill the children is the mothers.
No, not necessarily.
What's the statistic on that?
It's not. I'd be lying if I said I had the exact statistics, but it's not. I don't think it's. It's not.
It's the mothers, I'm
predominantly
sure of it.
women. Look it up. I don't think it's predominantly women.
If I'm wrong, then I'll stand corrected. But I think it's the mothers. Either the mothers or the mother's boyfriend or
the new partners, mother's new partners.
Yeah. But it's from the mother's side, not from the father's side.
Yeah.
Look it up. I don't think there's.
Let me tell you how I'm deducing this. If fathers were doing that, trust me, the system as it is already to be much, much, much harder for.
No.
They wouldn't have had to dig out a case from 11 years ago if it was fathers.
Look. I am a man just as you are, and I know there are women who kill children. I know there are men who kill children,
but it's mostly women.
I would not be sitting here saying that I think that women do it more than men. I wouldn't necessarily.
So let's see what the stats are. So that the stats lie, but let's still see.
I'm getting there. 1 second in search it.
Yeah. So yeah, but so my whole point is when fathers get into these situations, here's the thing: both the mother is wrong and the father is wrong. Regardless of how bad the mother is or how bad the father is, both are wrong. The system will not pressure the mother to be right, and it's in the man's best interest for him to realize where he's wrong. You understand? Mm-hmm. But because I'm mostly interested in helping fathers who are unfairly not seeing their children, because that's the majority of the cases. Of course, if it's a mother, I could help, but that's not the majority. So because the fathers are naive, because the fathers are also not willing to put in the work on themselves.
Yep, true.
To realize, look, like I'm comfortable being an asshole. So I'm a better asshole than I was before. Because now I know it, I can control myself.
Yep.
You understand? I know if you come at me the wrong way, may God help you. But now, because I know what I am, I'm not going to put myself into this situation.
You've got the beast inside you. You contain the beast. You got the beast inside you. You containing the beast.
Yeah. And I like myself way more.
Yeah.
But I had to listen. I had to cry. I had to almost go through like an exorcism. Well, to be fair, I had gone for prayers as well. I had to be like, I have to really focus and realize, what am I doing wrong? Where am I childish? Where am I being boyish? Where was she right? Because what I've realized is 90% of what triggered me was the truth. Not that she wasn't saying it to be nice, but truth hurts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if I say you are fat, right? It's offensive, but it's true. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You got a really strong point, man. I like your philosophy. I like the way you're thinking. Yeah. I like
that. So the same way if she says, "Oh, you're a prick," and I hated when she said that, it used to trigger me, but I was like, "Wait a minute, I am a prick," and then I stopped being a prick because now I've realized. Do you see what I'm saying?
I totally hear what you're saying. So I've got some stats there. According to NSPCC, in the UK, the recent years there have been, on average, about 56 child deaths per year, where the cause of the assault has been undetermined intent. Basically, child homicide victims are most commonly killed by the parent or step-parent. By a parent, children under 16, and in end of March 2023, there were 48 victims in England and Wales. For those cases, there was identified as 35% were killed by a parent or step-parent. Doesn't say gender. Doesn't say about gender. The statistics.
Where they say,
the statistics do not clearly separate which biological parent, mother versus father, is more often responsible. For example, the data says parent or step-parent, not broken down by father, step-parent, mother, stepmother. So there's no reliable, publicly available UK data set that breaks down the child homicides by mother's new boyfriend, mother, or father in a consistent national way. Because the numbers are low, the categories many, the standard national publications warn the figures should be interpreted with caution. Basically,
did they say the father's new girlfriend and you were in there?
No, it doesn't say father's new girlfriend, no.
Okay, so that's code for it's mostly mothers. Anytime you are reading any document, any report, when they say parents, it usually means mothers. When they say fathers, it means or when they say step-parent, they mean the mother's partner. Even when they were doing when they were testifying to the parliament. No, let me say. When the
fathers, it doesn't.
Sorry,
there's a lot of. In fact, you check it. There's a lot of times that there's where actually the violence is done by men. A lot of the violence is done by
I'm
men.
not denying
So-
there's a lot, but
and-
what I'm saying
and-
is,
So I'm not going to sit here and say it's mostly women.
It's not.
I know you won't do that, but why not? Why won't you say that?
I'm sure both is going to, but I'm not going to say that.
Why
And I
not? Why
think
not?
What we should
Why
be
not?
doing, because I don't believe it is. I don't
Okay,
believe
that's
it is.
fair.
I don't believe it's mostly women who kill.
I believe it's
I
mostly
believe
women
that
or
there
the women
definitely are
partner.
women. There definitely are women who do kill, definitely. But I don't
The
say
institutional logic often treats resident parent and their partner as the default carers, which historically aligns with the child deaths by those in those roles. Basically, the institutional logic often treats resident parent and their partner. Resident parent normally is going to be the mum, and their partner as the default carers, which historically aligns with the many child deaths by those in those roles. When you see the statistics like parent, step-parent, you must ask which parent, which step-parent. The ambiguity matters, the strategy matters, risk assessment matters, reform. Just because the data is not broken down further doesn't mean that the risk isn't there. Basically, from that bit there, the institutional logic that you would, if it's by the parent and step-parent, by the parent and their partner, that's going to be the mum, and their partner may not be the mum per se, but it may be the partner influencing the mum or whatever type thing. And don't forget, there's not that many. There's only like 48, whatever it said the last stats were. I said on there 48. Like
no, that's a year.
48 a year.
There's if you think about it, if at least one child is being killed a week, that's around 52 more.
Yeah,
so it's a lot. We just don't see it as a lot, but actually it's a lot of children being killed.
Yeah.
No, one is too many. So because again, the point is the system is trying to portray itself as it's correcting a problem which it's not, because
it's not correct it.
Yeah, so I'm saying that it's mostly the mothers, because that's what I believe, or the mothers' partners.
Yep.
Now, so by that logic, because if that statistic came out as it is, then the court cannot beat that logic to say that the fathers should have a primary care of the children.
Oh, I'm with you. I see. Something's just dropped in my head there. I think something's just dropped in my head. Something just dropped in my head. So basically, what you're saying is, the nothing's designed to highlight what the real problems are, because otherwise the real problems the courts would have to fall on its ass. Everything would fall on its ass, wouldn't it? Because there you go. That's it. Yeah, I hear you. Because otherwise the whole logic falls apart. The whole thing falls apart. So that's why it's designed, worded.
That assumes that they've got. I mean, because when I look at it, I don't see that there's necessarily that much logic, because it's not actually helping. It's not actually helping anyone.
Yes, it is helping. It is helping, because it's helping those who understand it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The reason why I got into this whole thing is I realized that, because obviously I'm sure you can tell by my accent that I wasn't born here, right? Yeah. So when you come from outside looking in, like I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Europe, right? I was born in Europe.
Okay.
So when you come here, and where I was born it's my first time, so I don't want to reveal too much about myself. But I'm happy to answer any questions. But family is valued.
Yeah.
So coming here, it was a bit cultural shock that I couldn't explain at the beginning. I was like, the way family is devalued.
Yes.
I'm not just saying men. It's family.
It is like yeah.
It's just devalued. And the other thing I didn't understand is why everybody goes to drink after work. But that's another story. But those were some of the things that were shocking me. So when I found myself in my situation, the advantage I had was I was able to see things that people were not seeing, because I was not a fish in the water.
Yeah.
I was from outside wearing my goggles and seeing what's happening. So I could straight away see that there were certain biases, which initially I couldn't explain, but I had bins of papers that I had to throw out. I was like a crazy scientist trying to figure out what's going on. So then I realized oh, when they say a parent, they mean mother. When they say father, they mean father. You understand? So that means if I want to, not only that, I write fiction as well. So I said, okay, how does, so that was able to, Jason talks a lot about narrative. That's why I realized, oh, so there's a narrative. So in a story, in a novel, in a movie, in a series, you always have the story world. So I said, okay, what's the story world? Because Jason, I don't know if you're a biologist, because you came from the biological point. I came more from like the structure, because I'm a programmer as well, computer programmer. I came more from the systems thinking and fiction writing thinking, writing thinking. But we arrived at the same conclusion. That's why I was attracted to your work.
Yeah, mate. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So I realized, oh, there's a narrative. Okay, so every narrative has the hero, right? The person who propagates the story. There is the opponent, right? The so-called villain or the bad guy or whatever. So who is who? Who is what? Who is the allies? Who's the opponent? What are the rules?
Yep.
And so on and so forth. So that's where I realized all these things. So when I won my appeal, it wasn't by accident.
No.
I knew I was going to appeal before I went to court. Like, that's how far I thought. I knew I was going to win the appeal before I went to court. Because I was all planned. I can talk about it some other time. But because I discovered how this, maybe I shouldn't say it in public, because you know how they.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not really.
What I want to speak about there is God, it's gone out of my head.
So let me finish.
It's just
let me finish quickly. So what I realized was, if you want to be stealth, don't trigger the narrative points that trigger them until the right moment. So that's where, when you understand this, you say, okay, if I say this about the mother at this point, that's too early. I'll kill my case on the spot, because the bias is the system will be triggered. The machine, the beast will, awaken and be like, you understand? So I said, okay, that is not the point I wish to say it. Don't say that until the right moment. And listen, it was perfect. You understand? As sad as it is, that was my one moment where I said, you know what? Let me just enjoy this moment. If there's no other moment I'm enjoying this process, let me just enjoy this moment.
Okay.
So that's how it helps. When you understand it, you can use it to help yourself and to actually get better outcomes than if you did it. Because just to be clear, when you understand those things, you know what to avoid, and you know when and how to trigger certain points.
And that's why, and that's how I get there's people through court with success, because they think, and everyone thinks I'm cheating, but we're not. It's not exactly using that same point.
But the only point I wanted to pick up on is this. You said that someone benefits. What I'm saying is, when you look at a child, who benefits? If a child, what I'm saying is, if a child is kept away from their father, how do they benefit? The child doesn't benefit.
No, I agree.
It's not.
I mean, that's why we're here.
They're not benefiting. It's not a win-win scenario, and that's the point I'm making. It's not, and I do believe that you might disagree, and that's fine. But I do believe, and I definitely know in relation to Black men and women, there is a war going on. There is a real kind of people not valuing what the father says, and men sometimes not valuing what the mother is. There's a real war going on. But the point is, children are losing out. They're losing out big time, and we need to look at how we can deal with that, because it's not benefiting any of us.
No, what I agree with is, I agree that children are missing out, but it is not a war; it's a disconnect. And that when the things are disconnected, so they attack each other, right? At the same time, listen, I've been in this game before I went to court. I was in this game. I was cancelled by feminists before canceling even happened, because I've been on the internet for a long time. I was cancelled. My business, my software business, nobody would work with me because I didn't know at the time how vicious they are at coming at you. So I made some comments on the social media. It went viral, and all the people I was involved with, a couple of them were actually, active feminists. So I didn't know this. So they cancelled me way before people knew of cancelling. So my point is, I've seen a lot when it comes to this. It's not just in the black community; it happens in the white community. But the difference is,
I'm sure it does. I'm sure.
Yeah,
it does,
but there's
without a doubt.
differences because obviously, if you're in a white country, they will not. Hopefully, because you could be wrong. Looking at what Labour, I don't like Labour. What they are doing, they might destroy everything. But the point is this: you create a disconnect, and then when you disconnect the two people, when you tell them, let's say right now we are talking to each other, right? And I agree with you. We should have women so we can all have the conversation to realize that at the end of the day, we all want the same things because we are not enemies. But if somebody says, John Paul, Michael said this about you, and I can't talk to you, and then somebody says to Michael, John Paul said this about you, and I can't talk to you, what happens? You now feel the need to defend yourself, and the more you attack, the less you can have a conversation. And that's what the court system is.
That's what it does. That's what it does. That's exactly what it does. Exactly what it does.
That's what it does. So now the media, which you have to understand something, which I'm sure you do. So but when I say you, I mean sorry.
I understand. You're talking general.
The people, there's a level at which people operate on a whole different scheme altogether. They don't worry about how much milk costs.
Yes, of course. No, yeah, of course. I know you're talking.
They can buy the whole factory and not even know. They can have, I have $1 million here. Like they take on a different level. So if somebody, so when they have their discussions, if I own a major law firm and my friend owns the major newspaper, and I say, listen, when you publish this kind of articles, we get more calls. Then that's the kind of media they'll publish. The politicians, the elites, they all roll in the same circles. So for us, the peasantry, so to speak, they assume we will not figure this out. I can assure you the reason why they're removing the parental as the presumption of parental involvement is because it's not just I figured it out. It's not just Jason. It's not just Michael. They've realized, wait a minute, the peasants are figuring it out. So we need to make it harder to maintain status quo. Because this system is all about status quo. It's not about protecting the children. It's not about anything else. It's about how do we keep the money flowing? How do we maintain the control of the structure?
You just said something really powerful there. Like literally, that's not clocked it. Yeah, it's not just me that's figured it out. It's not just you that's figured it out. It's other people that's going to figure it out. They know the people have figured it out now, so they're making it harder to try and fucking mix it up again.
Look at some major decisions that I was shocked. I'm quoting Casablanca, when the guy's like, I'm shocked. I was shocked to know, believe it or not, I had a client, his solicitor didn't know what PD12J was.
Wow.
You understand? In family court.
Wow. Just wow.
So I'm shocked people don't know a lot of the decisions. So for example, one of the decisions is that transfer of residence should no more be seen as a last resort.
No, they should, but it doesn't get used that way.
But there's more and more of it because once the decision, it trickles down, right, over time, and also the live with the shared live with orders, they are becoming more common. Because of the decisions in the appellate courts. So because of that, there is like lubrication for the fathers to get the cases smoother, but that discourages the mothers and that slows down the money flow.
Yes.
So they had to do something about it, which is why they are bringing this law, because now the women's organizations, because they want to control the system as much as they can. And they are a good tool to do that. So now, because everybody's they want to change the judges, which the judges are resisting. I'm not going to mention names, but we know some prominent female lawyers who are on the forefront. Today is not the day and the time, but many of the judges don't like her, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, because when you read the decisions, you can tell. I'm not saying that it's prejudice against her, but like the way they speak, you can tell they are like, look, stop what you're doing. You understand? And some of the arguments for the removal of presumption of parental involvement, judges have argued against it already, against that very same person, because she's tried it on many times.
Yeah.
Right. But now, if they are able to get it, the whole, the Pathfinder program front loads the process with essentially people who have got a certificate after a 3-day training,
Yeah.
who are going to make decisions about children. But all the money for those trainings goes to the same people. All the people are controlled by those people.
Yep.
And essentially, if the system is made to be basically gatekeep the process, they become the gatekeepers. And a man will do a lot to see his children, as we know. So that gives you a lot of power and control. You understand? So when you see it from that perspective, then you understand what you're doing. But on the flip side, you also know it's not personal. It's not about you.
Yeah.
If 99 fathers fail, I can be the one that wins. I know it sounds harsh and horrible, but that's the game we have to play. Because let me be the one who wins. When I say win, not to destroy the other person, but who wins for the child to have both parents in the child's life.
Yeah.
But you do have to see that perspective.
I think
it's a perspective I hadn't looked at before. Even though I know that it's all about finance, it's finance and politics. It definitely is, but it is a perspective that that I have to look at more.
John Paul got commented. John Paul, truthfully, it's the cults you are overlooking. I mean, look at the Freemasons in the police and the courts and social services. So much corruption. Women are believed above men. That's it. No matter what evidence there is or isn't, and the children get harmed in the process. I can relate to that. I've been following you for about 9 months since my issues. As scared as a scared male and civil and criminal issues. I won't speak openly, but thank you for all your content. It's been confident. Oh, thanks. Nice one. Appreciate that.
You see, sometimes it's not even that women are believed.
Yeah, it's getting on. Yeah, it's getting. Right, no worries, mate. Cool. Michael, thanks for doing this evening.
Thank you both. Thanks, John Paul. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks both of you for doing this. And John Paul coming in out cold like that. We've never spoken before. Apart from I think your comments on see who you are on YouTube. Yeah. So thanks for thank you loads for being here. And thank you for having the courage to come in and do what you've just done as well, because that's brilliant. I mean, epic. And I'll give you my number. It's just like 07883 959 195. I'll put it.
Yeah.
07
007
883 959 195.
Got it.
Yeah, give me a text. We'll definitely talk.
Sure.
07883 959 195. Yeah.
Thank you very
much. Before I forget, Jason, what do you want? Jason, what do you want me to tell that woman?
I'll tell her. I'll log into it in a minute. I'll log into it in a minute and then have a check and then send you the details.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I'll send you the
send me the text and name on it.
I can't remember her name now. I think it's Emma. Anyhow, I'll let you.
Cool. Well, look, thanks, guys. Thank you both for doing that. Thanks,
guys. Good night. I've got to get some sleep.
Really good. Thank you.
See you later.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.